Have you ever noticed how some people just seem to vanish the second they get stressed? They go quiet, they pull back, and it's really easy to misunderstand. Today, we're going to peel back the layers on this exact behavior. We're going to uncover 6 psychological secrets that explain why this isn't about pushing you away, but about them trying to hold themselves together. So, let's dive in.
Right? You know the feeling. A friend is going through something really tough, and instead of leaning on you, they just disappear. Your texts go unanswered, calls go straight to voicemail, and it's so easy to take that personally, isn't it? To feel hurt or confused. But what if the story we're all telling ourselves is just wrong? What if their silence isn't about you at all?
Okay, here's the one idea that changes everything. This retreat isn't a sign of anger. It's not them being indifferent. It is a straight-up survival instinct. Think of it this way. Their brain isn't rejecting you. It's slamming on the emergency brake to stop a total system shutdown. It's this deeply ingrained protective thing.
So, before we get to the why they do it, we have to talk about what it's not. This silent retreat is just a magnet for misinterpretation. We slap all these labels on it that feel right to us from the outside, but they completely miss what's actually happening on the inside.
Do any of these sound familiar? Cold, flaky, antisocial. I mean, we've all heard them, maybe we've even used them, but here's the problem. These words describe our experience of their behavior, not the reason for it. They're all just external judgments on an internal process that we just can't see.
Okay, so if it's not about being cold or flaky, what is it actually about? This is where we make the shift from judging to understanding. This isn't a character flaw. It's a resource management problem. And the resource we're talking about, it's their emotional battery.
And this, right here, is the big shift in thinking we have to make. On the outside, we see what looks like antisocial behavior. But the reality, the thing that's actually going on, is emotional battery preservation. It's not about avoiding people. It's about conserving a precious and, honestly, a dwindling resource. This one concept reframes the entire situation.
So what even is emotional battery preservation? Okay, imagine your phone is at 1% battery. What do? You dim the screen, you close all the apps, you turn off notifications, right? That is exactly what the brain is doing. When stress is high, every conversation, every choice, every single notification is another app draining that battery. So withdrawing is basically the brain's low power mode. It's a desperate attempt to avoid a total shutdown.
So where does this tendency even come from? Is it something you're just born with? Well, for a lot of people, the answer is in their past. Our first secret reveals that this isn't just a coping mechanism, it's a survival skill that was forged a long, long time ago. It's something we call learned self-reliance. This quote, it's such a powerful window into where this all starts. When you're a kid and the support you need just isn't there or isn't consistent, your brain learns this incredibly crucial lesson. The only person you can truly 100% count on is yourself. And it's not a choice, it's an adaptation for survival. You become your own first responder simply because you have to be.
And this really gets to the heart of it. When you grow up feeling emotionally invisible, you learn that waiting for help is a really risky strategy. So you develop what psychologists call survival independence. It's not that you don't want support, it's that your brain's operating system has been programmed with this core belief: I am safest when I rely on myself.
But it's not always about the past. Sometimes it's about the present moment and the very wiring of someone's brain. Our second secret gets into the neurological reality for some people. Their world is just louder. They are way more sensitive to both cognitive and emotional overload.
I want you to imagine walking into a room, and your brain just automatically registers every object, every sound, every little shift in the light. For some people, that's just their everyday reality. It's not a choice, it is their default setting. Now imagine adding a huge pile of stress to that equation. That constant flood of information, it turns into an overwhelming wave.
And what's so fascinating is how this all plays out. We're talking about people who feel emotions with incredible depth, who can spot a logical inconsistency from a mile away, whose brains are just these perpetual motion machines of analysis. Now, in normal times, this can be a huge strength, a superpower even. But under stress, that superpower becomes a liability. It's just an energy-sucking vortex, and solitude is the only real escape.
So, from the outside, this whole withdrawal thing can look like a messy, emotional retreat. But internally,
It is anything but. Our third secret shows us that this is a surprisingly orderly, almost clinical process. It's a logical, predictable, and totally protective protocol that's being run by the brain.
You can see the sequence laid out right here. It's like a chain reaction. A stressor hits, and that immediately triggers cognitive overload. Imagine having 100 tabs open on your computer at once. The brain's self-preservation instinct just goes, that's it, we're pulling the plug. And that is the withdrawal. It's not really a conscious choice. It's a biological imperative to find a quiet place and just reboot the system.
And that leads us directly to our fourth secret, which is a key part of this whole energy preservation strategy. The retreat isn't just about escaping noise and people. It's about escaping something way more subtle, but just as draining, decisions. It's a strategic move to fight something called decision fatigue.
Just think about how many decisions you make before you even leave the house in the morning. What to wear, what to eat for breakfast, which route to take to work. Each one of those is a tiny little withdrawal from your mental energy bank. So when you're stressed, that bank account is already overdrawn. The brain's most logical move? Go somewhere with zero decisions. Solitude becomes this amazing sanctuary from the tyranny of choice.
Okay, now for one of the biggest misunderstandings of all. From the outside, all this quiet time can look like someone is sulking or pouting. But our fifth secret shows us that this couldn't be further from the truth. It is not a passive state. It's a highly active one. They are processing, not pouting.
This is so important to understand. The silence isn't a void. It's a buffer. It's the space between an emotional reaction and a thoughtful response. They are intentionally creating a pause to let that storm of emotion pass so the calm, rational part of their brain can finally come back online.
So what does this active processing actually look like? Well, it's basically mental triage. They're sorting through all their emotions, separating the raw feeling from the potential action. They're running scenarios, analyzing the problem from every single angle. To us, it might look like they're doing nothing, but their mind is working overtime. It is an intensely active internal process.
And that brings us to our final secret, which is really the thing that ties all the others together. People who retreat under stress aren't weak at all. In fact, they are fierce guardians of their most precious resource, their mental and emotional energy.
This is just a perfect analogy for the world we live in now. Why do some people choose not to post their lives all over social media? Well, to avoid the endless stream of opinions, judgments, and unsolicited advice, right? It's the exact same logic. Interacting with other people when your battery is low is like posting your problems to the entire world. It just invites this huge influx of external energy when what you desperately need is internal peace. They're choosing to protect their peace over performing for an audience. So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? I think it's a really profound shift in how we see this behavior. Stress-induced isolation isn't a bug in the system that needs to be fixed. It's a feature. It's an intelligent, adaptive survival strategy used by a brain that is keenly aware of its own limits and is just doing what it has to do to protect itself from harm. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. Now that you've seen the psychology behind this silent retreat, how are you going to see it differently? Will you maybe have a little more compassion for that person in your life who does this? Or maybe, just maybe, a little more compassion for yourself? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.